So I don't know anything about Valorant, guys. I don't know anything about Valorant, but we have an opportunity to do something that no one has done before, which has become the biggest hater in 2 different games at the same time. So I saw this video. Title of it was how T1 became Valorant's most hated team overnight. I wonder if they have a cringe fan base in that game too. I hope so. I hope so. So I'm really on the side of looking to hate T1 here if possible. You know, I'm going to try to be as fair as I can, but I'm really hoping they give me some real reasons to hate T1. Let's get into it.
Just after Masters Bangkok, I made this video about T1's incredible run to win the trophy. It was a really heartwarming story, and almost all of the comments were positive.
Wait.
Until out of nowhere, about 5 days ago, I
Wait. They're winning in 2 games? My God.
got this comment. I hope they never win anything again. And at around the same time, multiple Reddit threads popped up. One titled, God, I feel bad for Sylvan, and another titled, Seriously, how did T1 win Masters Bangkok? And in their match against Paper X the next day, thousands of people were outwardly hate-watching T1 and wanting them to lose.
Yes, bro, I gotta start watching Valorant. Bro, can I start hate watching them in Valorant as well?
This was a really well-liked team who had just recently won an international trophy, and they had some of the most storied and beloved Korean Valorant players in the world. So what happened? Let's start with some much needed context. T1 signed a Korean super team this year, and after they qualified to Masters Bangkok, it was clear they were an extremely good roster. But if you followed the team more closely, you'll know it wasn't as easy as it might have looked. Throughout their run to qualify for the tournament, they swapped out Sylvan with their substitute Carpe, yeah, that one guy from Overwatch. And then once they were at the tournament and had lost their first match, they subbed Sylvan back in. Autumn, T1's coach, remember this guy, has since said that it was because Sylvan needed a mental break. If you play with players who are very skilled, they will give a lot of feedback to the player who is lacking in certain things. Sylvan was taking it well, but I could see his confidence falling. Anyway, Sylvan eventually got his confidence back, and once he was back in the team, they made a crazy underdog run to win the trophy. And that was all great, but once you win, you have to keep winning, and that didn't happen, because during VCT Pacific Split 1, they bombed out of the playoffs with losses to DRX and Paper.
Wait, they're a Make-A-Wish team. They lost to a Make-A-Wish team?
For a team who are the current world champions.
Honestly, makes sense.
It was a disappointing finish, and many in the community wondered exactly why they'd fallen off so hard. Anyway, Masters Toronto happened, T1 weren't there, and the next thing we heard from the team was that Sylvan had been dropped. Sylvan hadn't played that well in Pacific, but neither had the rest of the team, so it was a slightly confusing change. Now, fast forward to 5 days ago, and
Make-A-Wish is their sponsor. Okay, got it.
One releases a YouTube
I don't know much
video.
about Valorant.
It's called Boys, Be Ambitious.
Trying to figure it out as we go.
It's an hour and a half long. It's a documentary following the team throughout their Stage 1 run, and shows the slow decline of the squad as they fail to qualify for Masters Toronto. But watching the video presents a narrative that viewers probably didn't expect.
라인을 왜 이렇게 쉽게 줘, 영섭아? 아니 쟤네 플래시 없다며. 너 알잖아, 쟤네 옐로우 제트대시 탔을 때 아무도 안 들어오잖아, 같이. 네가 옐로우 잡을 생각 안 하냐? 왜 한 번도? 그러니까 라인을 진짜 주지 마. 왜 줘라? 니들 총은 쐈냐, 영섭아 오늘 이번 판 수비 때?
야, 첫 판에 총 못 쏜 좀 잘 쏴.
Is that bad? Like, I feel like that's just normal shit.
봐 이번 판.
The ones that whiffed last game? Which, why are you flaming me?
저격해요.
너라고는 안 했어, 영섭아.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe this is a little bit weird in a game. Like, talking about the guys who missed their shots, like, it is what it is, you know? But I think that talking about, like, don't give up space. Like, why are you not fighting here? Why are you not giving up space? That's pretty fucking normal.
제발 저리기 걸.
나 맞긴 해, 솔직히. 알고 있네.
왜 이렇게 안 맞아, 진짜? 3맵 때 잘 썼어요. 마지막에 잘했어. 아, 그러니까 3맵은 풀려서 다행인데 2맵 때 내가 본 것 중 진짜.
왜 그래, 강민이 저한테.
영섭 솔직히 너도 알잖아.
그거 한 거 아니야 또? 마우스 그 지워부에서. 아니야.
이상하던데 오늘. 아, 그러니까 영섭의 기대치가 있잖아. 그냥 픽 쏘지는 거야 계속. 그래서 뭐지 했지.
아니 다 힘들게 나를 만들었어.
1맵부터 그랬어.
아무 말도 안 했어요. 아니, 그런 거 말고.
1맵부터 다 죽었어.
오늘 왜 그래? 오늘 너가 나랑 뺏길까? 누가 그래요? 영섭이 가요, 영섭이.
너네 납치 때? 기세 싸움에서. 저 뭐 해야 돼요, 그러세요?
하이퍼까지. 야, 천천히 땡겨고 나온 거 심해.
올 내린다.
나 메인 보는 중. 메인만 봐. 트리 하나.
어제 여기서 재미 좀
그죠?
보던데?
챔피언! 자, 그냥 나옵니다. 그냥 나와요.
아니 이게
와.
그래도 어쨌든 힘으로
He just
밀고
run it
나갔을
down?
때 이기는 라운드들이 더 많았던 것 같거든요, 오늘.
Like, is that just the equivalent of running it down in Valorant? It looked like he ran it down.
나 메인 보는 중. 메인만 봐. 트리 하나.
어제 여기서 재미 좀
그죠?
보던데?
챔피언! 자,
Are you allowed to stand there?
나옵니다. 나옵니다. 그냥
I don't know
나와요.
anything about Valorant. I would just feel like that would be such a dangerous place to stand when they're like smoking through.
그래도 어쨌든 힘으로 밀고 나갔을 때 이기는 라운드는 더 많았던 것 같거든요 오늘.
예, 막을 수 있겠어, 얘들. 어때?
아, 네, 이거는 막을만 했었는데
처음에 템이 다 빠가져가지고.
아 근데 형은 어떻게 죽었는데?
나 연막 앞에서 비비다가 죽었어.
그러니까 어떻게 죽었는데? 총을 쏜 거야? 총을 못 쏘는 상황이었어?
나 총 쏠 수 있었는데 그냥 1대1에서 졌어.
그럼 막을 수 있었을 것 같아. 영사가 제발.
나.
우리가 다 지금 오해하잖아. 못 막는다고.
막을만 했어. 이거 가게 연막 잘 치고 해가지고
맞아,
막을만 했어.
막을만 했어.
There are multiple moments during this documentary where the rest of the team and T1's coach Autumn say some things to Sylvan that are definitely questionable.
They just bully this
He's
player, so it's
consistently
all just they bullied this player consistently.
made to be the butt of the joke, criticized for misplays that weren't even necessarily his fault, and straight up talked down to in regards to his aim, especially by Autumn. And to make things worse, Sylvan is clearly a pretty quiet and reserved guy, and on a team with so many experienced players, he probably doesn't feel like he can speak up.
영섭이 형 이렇게 땡기지 말고 석가래 채워 무조건. B메인 봐주고 있잖아.
아 근데 미드 비워놔가지고 나 미드 킹에 죽을 것 같았어 이렇게 하다가.
아 그럼 차라리 연막 치던지 여기 그냥. 뭐 여기 연막 치지 말라 했다고 아예 안 칠 거 아니잖아. 이런 실수하지 말고 이거 연막 치지 말라 했다고 그냥 너 그런 거 신경 쓰지 마. 형 무조건 형도 알잖아. 석가래 쳐야 되는 거.
오케이.
And it's not just about Sylvan. The documentary overall presents the team as one with a pretty negative atmosphere, one that is especially perpetuated by Buzz, Stax, and Coach Autumn.
Okay.
형님. 따라갑시다. 못할 것 같아. 못 이겨. 못 떴어? 아.
Honestly, I don't feel like this would be like a crazy dynamic in a team.
The Valorant community saw these moments in the documentary and ran with them. I have never seen a switch up this fast from an entire community in all of esports, let alone just in Valorant.
Damn.
Now, I was seeing these posts as someone who hadn't watched the documentary, and so I assumed that it was really bad. And from those clips, it certainly seemed like it. I was fully ready to hop on.
Looks cancer to be a part of, yeah, but I mean, most competitive environments are cancer. Like, I've been in multiple different competitive environments. C9 is the best team environment I've ever seen in my life. And yeah, that's probably because things have advanced, but normally there are just bad dynamics. I mean, you guys hear me rant about Piglet. Obviously, I do it as a joke, but it is something where that environment was just cancer because everyone on the team just thought Xpecial was worse than the rest of us. Like, that was like kind of the vibe based on what like the AD would say all the time, which made him like feel bad within the team. And then we ended up having to like compensate for it. And then other people picked up on it. Like there was times where he like missed ults in game where he would play even worse than, you know, he had been before. And then other teams would like, there was a quote, I think in one of the things where Lustboy was like, yeah, TL just wins 4v5. Like you saw Xpecial win and like miss 4 anti-ults in a row. He like said something like this. And it's just like the environment becomes quickly cancer because you need to stay together as a team. You know, you got to lift up the player that's struggling at that moment, because bro, it could be anyone. Like, you know, it's a weird situation to be in. Xpecial is playing with a player that he has a lot of respect for, that's a world champion, that doesn't communicate with him, is unwilling to work with him. So it's like he's just kind of out there to dry. And a lot of the times when you are playing bot lane, it's not as simple as people want to make it seem. It's not like you only have one option. And the way we tried to make it seem was like within the team was, yeah, I mean, like you should just do the right thing. And it's like, bro, I need to know how we're going to play this lane. Are we playing for push? Are we playing for like you basing on one item? Do you want to just dry hump them under turret? Like there's a bunch of different things you could do at that point, especially because turrets were so easy to kill at that time. And we just weren't able to do it. So I feel like a lot of times your environment will be shit unless you're winning. Like if you're losing, almost every team environment is going to be garbage because people just hate losing, bro. It just is what it is.
On the bandwagon and hate watch T1 too. And then I actually watched it.
영섭이 여기 왜 표정이 안 좋아? 이상호? 뭐 그거지? 또 나간 거 아니지 이거? 뭐요? 그러니까 또 뭐 자존감 깨져 이런 거 아니지?
그런 거 아니에요. 그런 거 아니에요. 경철이도 끝나고 그냥 내가 정답 말해줄게 이게 아니라 니들 둘이 이거 할 수 있게 이번 시리즈 통해서 연습 좀 해보자, 오케이? 네.
야 마무리 짓네요.
나이스. 영섭이 형 정신 차려.
나이스, 렛츠고.
자 전혀 몰랐어. 여기서 싸우는 프리미엄습니다.
이걸로 우리가 발전할 수 있으면은 나쁜 게 아니야. 우리가 킥오프 때도 해야 하는데 못하게 돼 이건. 다 고점 알고 있는데 애들끼리. 그러니까 니들에 대한 믿음을 가져라. 너네는 그 고점 보는 플레이로 우승했던 애들이야 다. 실제로 할 수 있는 애들이. 고생했다. 수고했다 얘들아. 야 챔스 우승하다 진짜.
With the impression I had from the
Yeah, the
community
coach's vibes are definitely off. Like he has like the the vibes that everyone hates, bro. It seems like he's the type of guy that just the vibes you give off is like somebody that wouldn't accept responsibility, somebody who's like condescending, like these types of vibes. Like people will latch onto the shit. They can't even really describe it, but there's just something about this guy that is triggering the out of everyone.
Community discussion, I was pretty surprised at what I saw in the documentary, because it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. First of all, I will say there are definitely some moments that either just aren't appropriate to say to a team member or are inherently bad for the team environment. Things like your coach saying to your player, "Did you even shoot your gun?" after a bad map, or having heated discussions mid-game about previous rounds that don't matter. This shouldn't be happening at the tier 1 level.
Also, there's like a dynamic in Korean teams where if you're like somebody under, you're like a player, you're a younger member, you can't really like talk back to the person that's above you, which is like different. And I think it makes these situations feel extremely one-sided where you're just going in. Where like, for example, like Blabber is somebody who I'm close to on C9. I can with him and like say, oh yeah, you're like, we talk about the Jarvan running it down mid in that game 5. Like, I can like say shit like that, and then he'll give it back to me and he'll be like, he'll just call me super fucking old. He's telling me like, bro, it's time to have kids. Like, it's like he'll say like shit where he like will rip on me as well. But I think that one thing that's kind of lacking here is that if you're like this in the Korean dynamic, it's normally very hard for the younger player or the person that's like, you know, a player to a coach to say anything back, so it just feels like you're just getting picked on permanently.
먹기로 했는데 왜 B 갔어 일단? B 가서 포탑 끼려고 했어. 그러니까 그걸 같이 하자. 그러니까 너 죽으면 어차피 우리 C도 못 먹어. 나 근데 안 죽게.
He calls me like 95 years old on the daily, like, you know, it is what it is.
I find this so mad. In Fish 123, you got to bear in mind, this is an amateur team. We were not getting paid. I would say 2 days in, we weren't talking about previous rounds if we had lost it, if it didn't matter. I cannot believe that 5 years later, a Masters winning team is doing it.
Yeah.
Some of these moments.
I mean, that is just in every single game. Like, focus on what is ahead of you in the game. Like, in review and stuff, you can talk about what has happened, but it's so useless in a game to talk about what has already happened unless you're actually trying to take value from it. Now, if you're saying, hey, like, we played this round, we f***ed up this round bad last time because of this, we need to do this differently, then it's fine. But a lot of times the way they're just like talking about it is like, yeah, you missed your shots in this round. Like, what the f, man? Like, you were supposed to fucking play the situation better. It's like, okay, like, obviously he's going to try to play it better. It's just useless ways to talk about what has previously happened. So this is how it works in every game.
Are mistranslated or missing key pieces of context, and these do make the comments seem slightly worse than they are, although some of them still aren't great.
Well, obviously everyone's memeing on the "did you even shoot" thing. That is one of the bad translations, like in the entire video, because literally that conversation, Buzz is like, "Did you shoot, or were you not in a situation to shoot?" And it's coming off of Stacks asking, "Can you guys hold with the same setup?" And Sylvan doesn't answer, so Buzz just is pressing him. So Buzz is just pressing for information, and literally after that, Stacks tells Sylvan like, "You got to speak up because otherwise we were about to misread that situation." Like, he explains why they needed an answer from Sylvan. So I think that one's fine. There's one where like Stacks makes it sound like Sylvan.
I'm okay. As somebody who's worked in esports for 15 years, I'm more on the side of like, yes, it's not nice. They should not be making him feel bad, and that's something that you should talk about like afterwards. Somebody else, I'm not sure what type of coaching staff or what type of situation they have, but this is something that should be addressed at some point because people should be able to pick up on the vibes of the situation. Are you ripping on this guy and actually making him feel bad, or is it like just jokes? You know, like I always check in with people anyway if that's my dynamic with them. I think that's a good way to just exist. If you have like jokes with people, we're like, you know, like Gilius and I, we rip on each other all the time. Like, you know, like everyone just calls me like old and shit, and then I'll like flame in, you know, Gilius for playing an SK or whatever. Like, if you have that type of relationship, it's always good to like check in like, oh, you're actually fine with this, right? And then you just proceed and you keep on doing it if it's good.
Going to the map draft is going to lose them the game.
But I'm more on the side of this being like kind of normal team shit and people just not being exposed to what these competitive environments are like and like the stressful nature of it, and people being overly sensitive to this type of stuff. So I'm kind of on T1's side here, unfortunately.
And the captions kind of portray that, and that's not true. Well, this, you could argue he was probably shouldn't have put it this way anyway, but he's like, well, Sylvan goes, we probably lose. And the coach is like, what? He's like, no, I mean in like the vibe check, because like he would just sit there not knowing what to do, and we would lose in the intimidation. So like,
not during the game, yeah, and that's what they're explaining here, is that they weren't actually, like, they're frustrated because they lost, but they're not actually saying, did you f***ing shoot? Like, do you know how to f***ing use your gun? Like, because the connotation that people are deriving from this, or the implication of this, is that they are just belittling him for like not knowing how to play the game. That's what people are taking away from this. But in reality, it's more like, is this setup actually good for us. Can we do the same thing in the same position next round, or do we need to change something so that we can win? Like, that's what they're trying to figure out, which I think is completely fine.
It's still not good, but the captions are worse. Let me tell you, the captions are worse.
However, outside of those few moments, a different picture of this T1 team presents itself. This is a winning team with veteran players, and they have high expectations of themselves and their teammates.
You want to do something
they are
else,
incredibly
or
passionate
just play
about
better,
winning,
you know?
which is made obvious just over an hour in with this moment from Meteor.
우승하고 싶으면 더 간절해야 돼. 난 우승한 팀에서 나와서 지금 여기 와서 또 우승을 했지만 난 더 우승하고 싶어 솔직히. 뭔가 요즘 진짜 많이 힘들어. 게임하면서 나 좀 도와줬으면 좋겠다 진짜. 난 더 이기고 싶어 진짜. 스크린 한 판 한 판에 목숨 걸었으면 좋겠고 똑같은 실수 안 나왔으면 좋겠고 내가 언제까지 다 커버해줄 수가 없잖아. 좀 더 간절했으면 좋겠다 진짜.
Many of the moments the
frustration
community
cry.
were up in arms about, particularly the in-game ones, are born out of this complete desire to win. It can lead to players getting tilted and demanding to know what went wrong in a certain situation, just because they want to ensure it doesn't happen again. It's definitely not a healthy way to deal with this, but competitive environments always house strong emotions.
아니 영섭아 1대1이잖아. 왜 이렇게 쫄아 대체? 왜 자꾸 빼려고만 해? 너가 이기면 된다니까?
그거 맞긴 맞는데 처음에 A 정보가 너무 조용했어서 그 다음에 뺀 거였어요.
쫄지 마. 스크림 때처럼 해.
The team also has a pretty banterous atmosphere.
우리 부택시 한번 시켜줘. 알겠어. 1호가 확실히 반대하려고.
스틱이 지금 랭크 10연패 하고 있는데 갑자기 랭크 10연패 피닉스 내봐요 진짜.
아니 근데 피닉스 했는데 폼 올라올 수도 있잖아. 타격단 하나 잡아가지고 갑자기.
아, 부탁이 이제
그럴 가수 없어?
피지컬 안 돼서 일선 안 돼.
알겠어. 우주 가야겠네. 우주 피닉스 해라 센터.
It's pretty clear that
Most teams have this, by the way. Most teams are like this.
this, combined with Sylvan's quiet nature, has led to them making Sylvan the butt of the joke a bit too much in the team, which isn't helping his confidence.
I mean, you also don't even know if it's like this all the time. Like, I really don't like deriving the complete, like, oh, I know exactly how the team operates from clips, because the clips can make it look like something it's not.
I mean, the guy's got no confidence, bro. This is the guy. They're telling to have some confidence. Okay, tell me at least tell me someone tells him that he's good looking after this. Please, just purely for the confidence. Someone compliment, dude. I got a team of sideshows, and they're all insanely negative. Just go, mate, you're a good-looking guy. You'll be fine if you're bald. That's all he needs to hear. He might actually drop 30 kills if you do that.
But it's not like they're just bullying him all the time. There are many moments of them lifting the two younger players up and showing that despite their comments going too far sometimes, they do respect and care about Sylvan.
근데 웃긴 게 영섭이 실수한 라운드 진짜 거의 없긴 해. 게임적으로 봤을 때는 거의 안 했어 실수.
From what we see in the vlog, Izu and Sylvan are super quiet players, and although it's hard on a veteran team, they do need to speak up sometimes. Buzz mentions this in a pretty constructive way, in my opinion.
나는 이것도 좀 뭐 사람 성격 문제일 수도 있는데 우리 브리핑 할 때나 피드백 할 때나 나는 그냥 영섭이 형이랑 우주도 말 좀 해줬으면 좋겠어. 이런 말을 하는 분위기일 때도 그냥 맨날 아무 말도 안 하고 그냥 가만히 있으니까 그냥 솔직히 그거는 내가 어제도 말했잖아. 그냥 너 스스로 만드는 거야.
내가 우주야 저거 내가 너 어제 했던 얘기다 그지? 야 영상 우주야 근데 제가 말한 거는 애들 뭐 얘기하면 너 왜 그렇게 했는지 왜 그렇게 하고 싶은지 뭔가 얘기를 해야 될 거 아니야. 당연히 얘네가 말하고 어떻게 얘네가 말하고 어떻게 다 맞아. 네가
Really
말할 수 있다고 했잖아.
그게 맞아.
But one of
Like,
them,
even if you're wrong, it's so important that a player explains their point of view so then you can correct it. It's just that obviously this dynamic is counterproductive to getting a player to feel comfortable, because they're like, oh, as soon as I speak up and I say whatever the I was going to say, everyone's going to just laugh at me and like flame me for being dumb about the game, you know?
most important things I took from this documentary wasn't that.
I mean, what they should do is something that we did, because like Loki is a naturally quiet player, and I think there's nothing wrong with saying this, but like one thing we did is we had Loki, with the help of Veigar, do like a presentation for the team. Like, we don't know how you want to play the game. Present to us, like, just can be a few clips. Doesn't have to be like something that like you take hours working on, but just send us a couple clips of things that you like that we do, times where you feel like it's really easy for you to play the game, whether it's like how we gank your lane, how we play for you on side lane, whatever. Let's do a Loki presentation so we can just know more about how you want to play the game. They could probably do that for Valorant. I could see that transferring over. I think that's a healthy way to approach something where it's not like you need to speak up in feedback, because a lot of times when you're in a feedback situation like this and people are speaking really fast and they're very aggressive about their points, like, oh, we should have done this. I'm like, you should have stood here and I need to go to like A and then we can smoke this and do that. Like when people are talking like that, it's very hard to interject. Like if you're behind in the thing and you're not as emotionally charged and you're more soft spoken, it's hard to be like, guys, but like, what about this? Like, it's very hard to do that then. So do a different presentation. Yeah, give them some homework. But like, it doesn't need to be a bad thing. It's also going to be easier for a player that is more reserved. It's easier for them to do that at the start of a new day before you get into like scrims or whatever. When the team is chilling, 30-minute meeting, whatever, you just have them speak at that point. You know, this is something that I think would be a lot better than when the emotions are charged. It's just easier for them.
X-player or Y-coach was toxic. It was the importance of a positive team culture. Two recent examples of winning teams with positive team cultures are PaperX and Fnatic, both of whom have referenced their great team cultures as reasons that they've not just been able to win, but maintain long-term success. And a huge element in creating these cultures within teams are players who are emotionally intelligent enough to create these good atmospheres. Players like Boaster and Divide jump to mind for me. Those players who can identify exactly what their teammates need at any given moment, and always actively looking to improve the team vibes. And from this documentary, Meteor and Carpe seem to be two team members who do just that.
무조건 형도 알잖아, 석가래 쳐야 되는 거. 오케이.
영서봐, 괜찮아. 잘 쓰잖아. 얘들아, 괜찮아. 자신감 있게 늘 말하는데. 그리고 킬대 신경 안 써도 돼. 나도 아까 전판 1킬 7대셨어, 영서봐. 진짜.
내가 얘도 우리도 맨날 우리가 아니면 감독님이 얘한테 피드백 할 때 난 이렇게 하고 싶었다, 이렇게 하고 싶다 이렇게 얘기하잖아. 똑같이 보긴 해. 당연히 뭔가 틀리면은 뭐 얘기를 하겠지만 얘가 뭐 너한테 말할 수도 있고 막 그렇긴 한데, 근데 결국에는 너가 너 스타일로 게임하는 거지. 너가 마코가 되라고 얘기는 하지 않잖아. 결국에 원하는 것처럼. 뭔 말인지 알잖아. 그런 것만 바꿔도 나아질 수도 있어. 그렇게 막 우리가 뭔가 시도하고 하다 보면은 결국에 언제나 바뀌어. 그렇게 크게 걱정 안 해도 된다고 생각해. 난 진짜 진심.
Players and coaches like these two are so important in creating a winning team. Understanding how to create a positive team culture also helps maintain a player's success long term, which is likely how Meteor and Carpe have had major success on multiple teams, and in Carpe's case, multiple different games. In the autumn interview I referenced earlier, he also talks about Carpe's impact on the team when he subbed in for Sylvan before Masters Bangkok. Carpe told the team to reflect on how they give feedback, saying, "You guys need to fix this. Don't cover it by saying it's competitiveness. And if you keep this up, you'll never win an international." It seems that although they may have fixed it for Masters Bangkok, once the team began losing again, they fell back into those old habits. If anything, this documentary shows that T1 are still working on creating a great team culture, and that can lead to moments like we saw in the documentary.
That I think maybe a lot of people that haven't been in a team think that this is a little bit worse than it actually is. There's a lot of bad stuff, but I could kind of sum it up in terms.
That's exactly what I've said in the whole video, no?
Of they definitely would help with a mental coach. I think that Sylvan had a rough time, but I will say Sylvan and Izu, for sure, very quiet. I don't feel like super bad, even though it felt like they kind of used it as a bit of a scapegoat.
I will also say that this is an incredibly transparent video for T1 to make, much more transparent than other teams typically would be. As a community, this kind of content is invaluable to see a genuine insight into the team culture, so releasing something like this is commendable in that way. If every team released a documentary like this after every split, we'd probably have a lot more situations like this on our hands. Also, all of the discussion around this video should have a disclaimer. It's so much easier to judge people when watching these moments than actually being in a team.
There's a lot that you guys don't see behind closed doors, man. I don't think I've had things like that happen to any of my Valorant teams, but the team that had probably the most drama, like the stuff you saw in that T1 doc, interestingly enough,
and there's a reason why Breaking Point was made. And that wasn't even close to like the worst shit, bro. The Breaking Point was like edited to make the situations look better than it was.
So before you start giving shit to the players for behaving the way that they did, you guys have to understand, on a winning team, your expectations skyrocket. Your confidence is sky high. So when you start dropping down from that number one slot, you're going to have some tough conversations in that prac. That is not stuff most
in
orgs
that
are
crack. Damn, bro. I like that. That's why Valorant teams are ahead. That's why Valorant teams are ahead.
You're gonna have some tough.
Like, they don't waste time saying practice. You know, they say prac. Yeah, they've got prac soon. Think about all the time they save.
Conversations in that prac. That is not
just
stuff
calling it
most
prac.
orgs are going to post and
God
show you
damn.
guys. And now you finally get to see what's actually real, and you're like, what the fuck? They shouldn't be treating this player like this. Why are they saying these things? But I've seen much worse than that. So to me, it's not that crazy.
Obviously,
same, bro, dude. Everyone on the competitive side is saying the same thing. If you've been in these teams, like that shit is light.
all of this takes on a
It's
different
not nice. It's obviously, I'm not saying it's good, but that is light.
meaning with the team dropping Sylvan, and I do feel bad for him for some of the moments in this documentary. There's no doubt that T1 could have done more to lift up his confidence, but that time is long gone. The memes about blaming Sylvan for everything are funny though. But overall, I don't think this documentary is as crazy as the community made it out to be. There are 100% lessons teams can learn from it, especially in regards to creating a positive team culture and not falling into bad habits which hurt the team long term.
But like the way that Sylvan and Buzz, I mean, maybe they were paid to do so, I don't know, but maybe Sylvan got a bonus to go hug Buzz after the match after they won the second time around. But like, they looked friendly on stage, man. That didn't look like someone who was literally dealing with bullying day in, day out. So that's all I'm saying.
If you want to hate watch T1 because of this documentary,
We literally saw Draymond Green punch Jordan Poole in the face and had him traded to the Wizards. Yeah, I mean that's different. That's some NBA shit. I haven't ever seen a physical fight in any of the teams that I was a part of in my time in esports. But I mean, you get heated, bro.
that is completely up to you. But just remember, we're all humans at the end of the day. But really, it's the discussion around these things which make them interesting. So please leave your view on the situation in the comments below or join my Discord to chat with other VCT fans. But with that, I've been Commend, subscribe if you enjoyed, and thank you for watching.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why people dislike the coach. There's something about him that is just like instantly hateable. There's something that rubs you the wrong way where you just hear him talk where you're like, oh, this guy thinks he's better than he is. Like, there's a lot of, bro, honestly, a lot of people actually have that same criticism of me when I speak about League, you know? Like, there's certain things that people say, if somebody's confident and they speak like that, but in a team environment, it's different, right? Like, I think that in a team environment, it's different than when you're like a streamer. So there's obviously a difference there. But in terms of how he comes off as somebody who, like, he's talking about like shooting and like mechanics and stuff like that, which I think is weird to talk about as a coach. Be like, oh man, your aim is bad and like stuff like that. I feel like it's weird to talk about a coach because you're probably as a coach because you're probably way worse at that shit. So it just feels awkward. I mean, you can talk about mechanics, but like you can't talk about it in a way like, bro, like holy you missed this shit. Like, what the are you doing? Like, that's the weird part. But you can say like, shouldn't you have played this differently?